Okay, by the way, just to add one detail we were learning yesterday, we just didn't get there yet. But if you ever notice, under Rosh Chodesh Kriya, the first Aliyah has 3 psukim, and then the second Aliyah, you start again, V'amarta lohem. Why? Because you need to have 3 psukim. You can't stop in certain places. So therefore, the only way it would work, if you go back and read the pasuk V'amarta, then it works out in the schedule of how you're able to finish the psukim of the aliyahs. Okay, now there's an interesting din. Okay, there's an interesting din. What is the order of the aliyah obligations? And now that people come to show they want an aliyah. Okay, so what are the halachic obligations of in halacha? There's a whole entire order of how many does it go through? 12 people that they have priorities over other people. The first one in halacha that has priority over everybody is a chosin the day he's getting married. If he's getting married, say on a Thursday, he has the number one, he comes even before a yard site. If let's say only you can give an aliyah, either a yard site or a chosin getting married that particular day, the din is a chosin comes first. Second, what? The day of the wedding is a chiyuv. The Shabbos before the wedding, we'll soon see him and a bar mitzvah boy are equal. Number one is the chosin the day he gets married. He has an obligation. Shabbos he's not allowed to get married, so that wouldn't apply. It would apply to Monday and Thursday or Rosh Chodesh or whatever it is. That day that he's getting married is the number one. Number two is a boy that either a chosin the Shabbos before his wedding, or a bar mitzvah boy, either that was bar mitzvah that week, the previous week, or on that Shabbos. So a bar mitzvah boy and a chosin that's getting married in the next week are equal. What do you mean if they're equal and you don't know, you can't give them both? So halacha says you do a lottery, and the one that wins the lottery gets it. The third one is the sandik.
Number 2 is lottery. What do you mean
lottery? Lottery. What happens if there's 2 people that have equal obligations for an aliyah? 2 people have yard site, okay, and you can't give both. So what do you give it to? What do you do? So by the way, there are dinim involved besides. It's a general rule. Members come before non-members. Even if it's not an equal... Yeah, a member of the shul. If somebody is a member of the shul, he comes before a guy that pops in off the street and says, I have a yard site. Obviously, if he's not an obligation, you can give it to the yard site. But I'm saying, even though, let's say, a chosin pops in off the street and he's getting married today, he wants an aliyah. But there's a regular that has yard site or whatever. He comes before this person because he's a member. Now, what's a membership? Either you pay membership dues or you walk in the door. There's so many shuls. You're a member when you walk in the door. The sandik, number 3 is the sandik who holds the baby at the time of the bris. And the fourth aliyah, fourth obligation in order is one that brings what's called the kvater, one that brings the baby into the bris. Fifth is the father of the baby that gave birth to a father of a baby girl who gives the name. After that comes a father of a boy, okay? Sixth is, that's 6. Chosin number 6, if his wedding is from Wednesday on in the next week. 8th is a yard site, the day of the yard site. Okay? 9th is the father of the baby, the day of the bris milah, the father of the baby. Sunday comes before the father of the baby. Yep. Next is yard site that'll have in the week after Shabbos. 11th is the merle, the day of the bris. Sandik, the Shabbos before the bris. First comes the sandik, then the father of the baby. And if there's 2 equals, you cast lots. And a person who's not from the city, meaning he's not a regular member of the shul, has no din kadima. He doesn't come before anybody else. So there's a whole halachic thing. People might get upset, but the bottom line is, halacha says this is the order of first come, first serve, so to speak. These people have first rights to the Aliyah before other people. So people think a yahrzeit is number one. It's not true. Yahrzeit is not number one. Yahrzeit is, according to this system, a yahrzeit is number 10 on the list.
I've visited many shuls across the country, across the globe. Almost every shul I go into, if I'm new there, out of like Kabbalat Orchim, I get offered.
Okay, so even in Kitzur it says like this. Technically, somebody who's leaving on a trip that week. I don't mean they're going to downtown LA. I mean, they're going on a trip. Or somebody coming back from a trip. Talking about members of the shul. They all should be given an Aliyah. A guest that comes, the custom is. Now there's other chiyuv Aliyah, like in our circle, we have a minhag that the Shabbos before birthday, we get an Aliyah the Shabbos before birthday. Or if it's the day of Kriya itself, we get an Aliyah on that day in addition to the Shabbos before. If a birthday is on Shabbos, we don't get the Shabbos before like some people think. I don't know where that comes from. Huh? Where? Maybe.
The same Shabbos.
If the Rebbe says it. But does it say it makes sense? No, it doesn't make sense. If the birthday, like a yahrzeit, you have a yahrzeit Shabbos, you get an Aliyah the Shabbos before. No. Why? I don't know.
I don't have a yahrzeit. My birthday's not from Shabbos.
Okay. Fine. Okay, that's the order of the Aliyahs. You know, who comes first and something like that. Okay.
But you're saying that when they do it for somebody who's like, literally a guest from out of town or one-timer, and they're actually violating it because it should be a member of the shul first.
No. I'm saying if a member of shul is one of these obligatory Aliyahs, they come before a non-member.
I see.
You can't say because, okay, like a few people have yahrzeit, yeah? So you say, no, we're going to give it to the guest instead. That you can't do. But if there's no obligation, there's no chiv, you give it to a guest. Yeah.
Of those 12, how many of them have chiyuvim?
They're all chiyuvim.
They're all chiyuvim.
Yeah. In fact, in other places it says, in fact, by the Sfardim, they do this versus the Ashkenazim. The Ashkenazim, we have the Shabbat Chatan, as it's called, the Shabbos before the wedding. By Sfardim, they do it the Shabbos after the wedding. The truth of the matter is, in halacha, a chassan has an obligation before the wedding, and the Shabbos after the wedding, he also has an obligation to get an aliyah. Before and after. Okay? But again, that's different minhagim of what people do. In fact, you have the same thing. There's a lot of different customs when it comes to Torah reading, okay? Sfardim, okay, they have a different type of Sefer Torah, not Eitz Chaim, the thing itself. Sfardim do Hagba before Torah reading. They pick up the Torah and show it to everybody before Torah reading. Ashkenazim do it after Torah reading.
But isn't it before because you're showing what you want to read?
Maybe you want to show what you read already?
You show it and then you read it and then you...
There's also different customs even when you get an aliyah, yeah? So the person shows you where the reading is. Because you have to know what you're making a bracha on. In certain, there's all brought down in halacha by the way. Certain custom is they will make the bracha with the Sefer Torah open. Some poskim say no, the Sefer Torah has to be closed. Some people touch, like our minhag is, we touch the beginning and the beginning. And then at the end we touch end and beginning. Yeah. Okay? The Rebbe did different things at different times, but that's what it says. Different times it says different things. When we get in Aliyah, they show us the beginning, end, so we touch end, beginning, beginning, end, and beginning, and then kiss. Now, people have to be very careful. This is brought down in halacha also. You ever notice when people get in Aliyah, especially Hagba, because Hagba you have to pick it up and you show 3 columns. I'm talking Ashkenazic, Sephardic, I don't know, because you don't have 3 columns at that time. But Ashkenazic, it says you're supposed to show 3 columns. It's not a weightlifting show that you pick up with 12 columns and do it. Mamish is disrespectful to the Sefer Torah. Because it's a gym? No, really. People that do it is mamish disrespectful to the Sefer Torah that they're doing Chabad, like they want to show what a gym, it's disgusting. In halacha it says you have to open 3 columns. People are supposed to see the writing if they can, or at least walk over to try to see the writing. One thing it says in halacha for sure is, when you take with your talis, either hagba or sometimes people take the talis and they rub the writing. They rub the writing. You're supposed to touch it. What's the problem with rubbing it? There's 2 problems. If it's on Shabbos, you might be desecrating Shabbos. If it's not Shabbos, you're going to ruin the Sefer Torah. It's ink. It's not engraved letters. It's ink and parchment. You're going to rub it out. You're going to rub a letter out and you'll make the Sefer Torah possible. If it's on Shabbos, it says in halacha, you'll have another problem because you're not allowed to erase things on Shabbos. And if you do like that, you're going to be erasing Sefer Torah. So what people do is they won't even touch the place. They'll look at the place and then they'll just touch the side of the Sefer Torah. But even if you're touching the print, you should just touch it. You don't rub it. First, you're going to pass it the Sefer Torah. You're going to make it not kosher. And secondly, you might be desecrating Shabbos. So that's the different customs. And again, like we learned the other day, you're supposed to read along quietly together with the Balkari when you got the Aliyah. The custom is also that the person stays there until the end of the next Aliyah. Okay? Those are all just various different customs. By the Yakis, by the way, by the Germans, in many places I was told that they didn't even, by them everything is organized to the T. But they wouldn't say, call up your name to the Aliyah. Before Kriyas HaTorah, they gave you a card. Kohen, Levi, Shlishi, Revi, Chamishi, Shishi. And they would say, Yamod, Shlishi, Yamod, Revi, Yamod, Chamishi. They wouldn't even say the name. What did you want to ask?
I was going to say, you have to get called to go up, or no?
You have to get called. The only time you go up without getting called is the teichacha, the hidden blessings. Then you don't call up the person. But like this, the custom is you call him up. What?
I don't remember where I learned this, but I remember learning that when you're offered an Aliyah, you're actually supposed to initially reject it until they ask you again, and then you can accept.
Not an Aliyah. If they ask it to be chazan, you're supposed to reject.
That's only for chazan.
Only chazan. Because on the contrary, if they call you up to an Aliyah, you must go. The only time you don't go, if you're in the middle of Shemon Esrei. In other words, if they call you up to an Aliyah, we learned you're supposed to read along together with the Balkor, right? So, if you're in the middle of Pesukah de Zimra, between Baruch Sham and Yishtabach, okay, and they call you up to the Torah, you can go, you could even read along the Chumash with the Balkori. You could read along in between Birchas Krishma, that means from after Yishtabach until Shemon Esrei, they shouldn't call you up. What happens if they called you up, so you have to go? So you make the brachas, but you don't read along. If they call you up in the middle of Shemon Esrei, you're not allowed to go. So then somebody else goes instead, unless you're mamish finishing already, so you just...
What if you had an Aliyah already and you wanted to do someone else?
If they call you up, you have to take the Aliyah. You can't give it to somebody else. Aliyah, you're not allowed to refuse, because it shows... See, by a chazan, the point is like this. When they ask it to be chazan, people don't do it today, but like a chiyuv, you don't say he's refusing him, he knows he's going up to the Yomid. But shliach tzibur is a guy who represents the community. So, in more refined personality, when your person is told, go be chazan, you're supposed to give the impression, I'm not worthy of it. But then you don't delay, because then the minyan's waiting. So you just make it, but then you go. You're supposed to go. And Aliyah is something else. They're calling you up to the Torah. They called you already. If you're going to refuse, it says, I don't want this Aliyah. Aliyah l'Torah, by the way, is, why is it called Aliyah l'Torah? Okay, finish with this. In halacha, it's called Yored Lefnei HaTeva. If you look in Shechon Aruch, the Chazan is called Yored Lefnei HaTeva. goes down to the teva, he's the chazan. By Aliyah, it's called Aliyah l'Torah. Okay? Why is it called like that in halacha? Because years ago, in halacha, it says, the chazan's place should be lower than the rest of the shul. Why? Because it says, Shiramalis, Mima Amakim Kurasicha Hashem. Out of the depths, I call you Hashem. So therefore, in Gemara in halacha, it says, years ago, the shuls would have the chazan taka lower than everybody else because of that. So therefore, it's called Yored Lifnei HaTeva, because you're literally going down, because it was lower than the rest of the shul. Aliyah l'Torah, in most places, the bima was higher than the rest of the shul, so you actually had to go up the steps to have an aliyah. That's why it was called Aliyah l'Torah. You're going up physically, just you're walking up to the Torah, and you're Yored Lifnei HaTeva. But spiritually, when you have an aliyah, it's Aliyah l'Torah, the neshama is being elevated.